everyone. My name is Adiola Peters, and I will be your host for today's event. Welcome to our graduation ceremony for our cohort of 2023 volunteers. Are y'all excited? Yes. Thank you so much for being able to attend. I know the weather and everything else, but welcome. So before we get into the event, we do have some safety briefings that we must play. So.
Places high priority on preserving your health and safety. Please give me your attention for a few moments as I outline the emergency procedures to be followed at today's event. This building is equipped with a fire alarm system, and in the event of an emergency, the alarm will sound. There are no planned drills for today, so if the alarm sounds, we will treat it as a real emergency. Once the alarm has sounded, calmly make your way through the exit. There are 2 exits which are clearly marked, located to the front east and west of the room, and 2 to the back of the room. Take a moment to identify the exits. Once outside the room, make your way to the ground floor and exit through one of the 2 emergency exits located east of the building. Continue north through the pedestrians gate to the assembly area, located at the back of the Department of Behavioral Sciences. Stay at the assembly area and await further instructions. In the event of an earthquake, stay calm, look out for falling debris. Once the shaking stops, exit the building in a calm and orderly manner and assemble at the assembly area where you will receive further instructions. Thank you.
Thank you to our control room. So, moving along, we will be having our welcome address by none other than Maria O'Brien. I know many of y'all would know Maria. Who doesn't know Maria here? But let me just give you a brief introduction. So Maria is a lifelong volunteer, passionate digital activist, and loyal advocate for sustainable development and disruption of the broken systems through rapid asset development and experimentation. Her current work in mental health advocacy and digital disruption focuses on mental health, community asset development, and outreach elderly and terminal patients, mental health, adolescents to young adult substance abuse, and local regional suicide prevention, as many of you all would know. Her work in this area started with a concept for STAY, a coping resource, a website and mobile app that was delivered in 2020. Right? The designs was inspired by the coping resources for those at risk suicide in developing countries, most of which do not have national suicide prevention programs, such as in Trinidad and Tobago. She got this opportunity to present her app at the Commonwealth Technology Organization's first Broadband Caribbean Conference, and since then have been working towards a career that reflects that current disruption opportunity. Give it up for Maria.
It's amazing. Dr. Shatu's presentation is still up. Exactly what I needed. So I kind of started to jot down how I was going to start this speech because this program has been quite an extraordinary experience. The very first time that we did this was during the pandemic. It was very different. Kathy knows this. We had, I think, I suppose, there were no expectations, yeah? But we had such a strong start. This time we really wanted to do better, do bigger. Now, in more than one room, I have had people ask me if I felt we achieved that this cohort. And my answer is absolutely. The partnerships that we've developed, that we've secured, along with the scope of the programs that we're going to be delivering and continuing to deliver over the next few years, you guys have done amazing things. Even if you gave us 2 hours a week, that 2 hours a week that you gave us moved the needle forward for each of those projects. Now, we know that a lot of it was review, a lot of it was waiting on feedback, a lot of it was relationship management, and those things are not tangible things, but they are great experiences for you to have, and some experiences that I am still learning from myself. This event that we're having today, very graciously by our events team, was called Defeat the Dark. Now, as some of you know, Defeat the Dark is our computer science internship project title. Some of you don't know that because we're launching it next week, right? But Defeat the Dark was a concept that we believed in very strongly. And I'm going to describe very briefly what the intention of Defeat the Dark is about. So in Trinidad and Tobago, the rate of suicide is 2 persons every week. Globally, the rate is 1 person every 40 seconds. Some people know us at Mindwise for our suicide prevention efforts. For many struggling with depression, anxiety, and trauma, the world can be a very dark place. And many of us have to navigate this dark place on our own, in the darkest hours when we cannot access help. Sorry. Studies have shown that participating in music and art can alleviate pain, help you manage stress, and promote wellness, enhance memory, improve communications, and physical rehabilitation, and give people a way to express their feelings. We live in a time, especially for young people, when our planet faces never-before-seen natural disasters, some of which we are starting to see more regularly, like today, mass extinction, climate change, and most recently, the COVID-19 pandemic. And here in Trinidad and Tobago, we have rising waves of violence and economic hardship, which all seem to be interconnected, alongside a rising rate of male and suicide rates for men and boys, which rose by 8% in the last 2 years, from 80% to 88% as a national rate. A shadow does seem to be hovering over the world, and the way through this storm cloud is also long and full of difficulties and challenges, none of which will be easy, none of which will happen with a snap of a finger, the discovery of some new great product. So we have to develop ways to learn how to cope. One of the things that we've taught you guys is that suicide takes place when pain exceeds resources for coping with pain. If that's one of the things that you can walk away from this program with, it's a very powerful thing to understand. Every project that we do here at Mindwise has been to increase coping resources or accessibility to coping resources. You guys have more than achieved this with the projects that you've delivered, and we're so excited to be sharing the work that you do. So thank you, everyone, for the work that you did. I just want to give a small standing ovation, round of applause for those of you who are here. And of course, even things that we experience like today, not everything happens when we want it to. We recently were told by an advisor that it's important to learn how to fail well. And I think that understanding how we can grow together, learning from what we have experienced, and building this program better is our goal now. So thank you, everyone.
Before we continue, we did lose one of our volunteers, Jaron Elder, and we would like to take a moment to honor him. He had died at Las Cuevas in a tragic drowning, so we'd like to just give a moment of silence. Thank you, everyone. So we move into our remarks from the University of the West Indies, Miss Cathy Ann Lewis. So to tell you all a little bit about Miss Cathy Ann, I see many of you all know her already, right? And that is because Miss Cathy Ann Lewis is the Manager, Careers, Co-Curricular and Community Coordinator, and has been a higher education professional for over 20 years, experience in North America. And the Caribbean. She is passionate about helping young persons achieve their highest potential, and through that may look different for different individuals. And though that may look different for different individuals, she believes that it's possible for all. She has varied interests and believes that access to education is not an individual dream, but a universal right. Ms. Cathy Ann.
Thank you so much, Adiola. I'm listening to Adiola and I'm smiling, and good afternoon, everyone, because she said, it seems like some people know Miss Lewis already. Well, Adiola, I actually know you. I can definitely say you were part of our first cohort, but it was virtual. As I was asked to attend, I felt so proud, and I'm even more proud now to see Adiola, who has been from the first cohort, but then I see students that I'm currently interacting with, and it says so much about the program and about the sustainability of the program. And Maria, on behalf of the university, I really, really want to say to you, Analdo and Mindwise, First Citizens, thank you so much for this initiative. So a special good afternoon to everyone, and particularly to our graduates. The University of the West Indies is so proud of you. This afternoon, I represent the university. I represent the Division of Student Services and Development, but I also represent you all. And sometimes amidst exams and night trips, you all know, to KFC in SAC, you may forget that the university is deeply ingrained in our communities, regionally, nationally, and around the world. Incidentally, a couple weeks ago, we were in Blanchisseuse at another community engagement activity. And one of the representatives said to me, she said, community engagement, she doesn't really remember seeing us in the community. And I said, yeah, we are really all over, very involved in the community. And so she asked a very profound question. She said to me, what does that look like? And I was like, that's a very interesting question. And it stayed with me. I spoke to her and I came back and I said, this is what it looks like. And I gave her some examples. And today, if you ask me, I would say, this is what it looks like. And so sometimes we may not see it, but the long-term impact of it will be seen. Incidentally, just over a week ago, our Vice Chancellor released a notice that said that, I want to say it exactly, that we had received a perfect score for partnerships towards the achievement of our global sustainable development goals. And I know you're saying the same thing that individual asked. What does that look like? And so it means that our initiatives through our research, through our teaching and learning, and through our partnerships with organizations such as Mindwise, Google Women Tech Makers, and First Citizens Bank, these partnerships are outstanding. Yes, I said a perfect score. But the university scored particularly high in 3 of the SDGs, 3 of the Sustainable Development Goals. The first one, Sustainable Development Goal number 3, and that is looking at health and well-being. And there's no health without mental health. We also scored particularly high in SDG 5, and that looks at gender equality. And it references the number of women, not just young women, but women that we are empowering through the acquisition of education and degrees. And I can understand why we have a perfect score in that. And then we scored particularly high in SDG 17. And so there are technically 17 Sustainable Development Goals, but the 17th one looks at how we develop partnerships to achieve the other 16 goals. And this is what community engagement looks like. And so this demonstrates why the university continues to be a part of the Sustainable Mind Volunteers program in partnership with Mindwise, Google Tech Makers, and First Citizens Bank. We are proud to have been integral to increasing the number of young people equipped with the tools to help their peers. The first cohort, Maria, was it about 75 volunteers, and I'm blown this cohort is 110 young people, some of whom are represented here today. But just the fact that in addition to the 75 of the first cohort, Maria and Arnaldo, we now have 110 additional young people equipped to remove the stigma of disclosure and the stigma associated with help-seeking behaviors. Further, they are equipped with the tools to offer digital solutions to people their age and others in their community. Graduates, I'm so proud of you. The university will continue to actively seek out these partnerships to alleviate the disparities in our communities. We are committed to the work of Mindwise, and we'll continue to partner with you, Maria. Just send that email, and we'll send that list. And so, though I indicate that we really appreciate your work, I know for you and your team, it's really a passion. And we commend you on that. And so we are committed to the advancement of our students and the part that you all play in the advancement of sustainable minds, sustainable communities, and sustainable futures. You are indeed the light rising from the west. So go ahead, shine your light and defeat the darkness. Thank you, and we are so proud of you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Katia and Lewis. I can say for sure that you all really deserve the 100% score, because I feel like I represent all 3 of the things you all got there. So we're supposed to have some remarks from the UWI girl. Unfortunately, she was not able to make it due to the weather. But we did promise you all a short session. So we're moving into the closing remarks by Arnaldo. So to give you all some information about Mr. Arnaldo James, our Mindwise COO, right? So Arnaldo, honoring the ingenuity and resilience of Black and Indigenous Caribbean peoples in a world structure actively pursuing their exploitation Arnaldo James works towards equity and prosperity. Centering sustainability and feminism in his endeavors, he organizes safe spaces for collaboration and community building. A graduate of the University of the West Indies of Trinidad and Tobago and Cardiff Metropolitan University, James holds a MSc in Advanced Product Development, a postgrad diploma in Arts and Cultural Enterprise Management, and a PA in Visual Arts. For several years, James has supported and organized actions invested in healthy futures for all. He co-leads the mental health nonprofit Mindwise and directs and produces digital media for North 11 as well as documentary film at Bird's Eye View Production. He is a project and operations manager, product and communications designer, visual artist, curator from Trinidad and Tobago. And he's with us today. Hi, Arnaldo.
So, y'all, I'm going to limp my way over here because I fell out of the tree. So I sprained my ankle. I'm fine. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. I want to offer thanks to everyone who's here. Thank you for coming out. Oh, I need to do this. You can hear me now? Cool, brilliant. So I'm going to say that again, really briefly. Thank you for everyone who showed up. I am Arnaldo James. I'm grateful that each of you are here. I'm grateful for everyone who's been working behind particular. So I want to start with the founders of Mindwise. I want to honor Stacey Camacho, Elise Marcelin, Rhonda Chansu, and Maria O'Brien, whose seeds planted what we're seeing evolving and growing today and onwards into the future. So can we get a round of applause for them? Yeah. I also want to thank First Citizens. The first time we did this cohort, we did this program, this volunteer program. It was out of our pockets. It was really tough. And as everyone has said before, it continues to be a passion project. We will do it come heaven or low waters. And Dr. Stone and Trudy Louison from First Citizens have been, cheerleaders for us, directing us as we, it kind of came up before, had some challenges as we're working through what we're doing, but we are committed to improving and improving and improving. And they've been there with us for some months now, so thank you. Them and their teams, just to be clear, them and their teams. And also, of course, cannot ignore the University of the West Indies, in particular, the Careers, Curriculars, and Community Department. Katian Lewis, you have also been a cheerleader there. You were there 2 years now. It's 2 years now we're in this, right? Yeah, 2 years now, coordinating. Y'all, we started off with 75 volunteers. Managing 75 volunteers is a challenge. But not in a negative sense. It's something that we walked into with a lot of optimism. And Adiola Peters, standing here today, is an example of how that investment in that cohort is continuing to support and honor the work that we're doing. We have now, as was mentioned, taken on 110 volunteers for this new cohort, which is a humbling experience. I think when I first saw the figures, I was just like, you make a mistake, right? Like you add an extra figure, like that's an extra zero, right? But just to sit with the reality that so many people, in knowing whatever they learned about our organization, felt that they could step forward and commit their time and their energy and their intellectia to the work that we're doing, is nothing short of humbling. Thank you to each of you. including, I just want to pivot for a sec, the volunteers who are here today who've been helping us manage this entire event. Can we get a round of applause for them? I know they're clapping for yourself too. Women Tech Makers has been there with Mindwise from the start with this volunteer program. Thank you to that team. That is a global team of volunteers themselves, all women working in tech under the arm of Google. And they've been supporting us. Again, if you work with us, you know that we're using Google products in the work that we do. I would also like to thank the facilitators of the sessions that we had today. Dr. Naked Chatter, who showed up for Intro to Suicide Prevention. Those of you who were here know that we've postponed it, so we will be having a follow-up session that we're planning with Dr. Naked Chatter. But we're grateful that she showed up. She also has just been like the most immense champion, and she's been involved with Mindwise. How old are we now, Maria? 6 years? 6 years? Yeah. We've been around for 6 years. Dr. Naked Chatter, I think, has been around from jump. And also Ms. Vandana Prasad, who some of you would have had the pleasure of going through a mindfulness on the taste of chocolate session with. How was it? So thank you to Ms. Prasad. I also would be remiss without thanking our chocolate sponsor, the Alliance of Rural Communities of Trinidad and Tobago. Can we give them a round of applause? I'm just going to tell you all a little bit about the Alliance. I have been observing the works of the Alliance, I think Maria as well, for years now. I think they are about 10 years old. They work in rural communities. I think they started off in the Northern Range and they've expanded their reach. They are transforming chocolate production, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, globally. They are removing extractive, exploitative practices from chocolate. And so for me, it was a huge honor to invite them and then for them to also donate this chocolate. Because if any of you all have been following the media, many other chocolate brands are implicated in things like modern-day slavery. And so by consuming local chocolate, which I'm also going to encourage you all to do, it's not an ad for them, it's just in general. By consuming local chocolate, you are supporting grassroots, quite often, industrial practices, and our own. For generations, you know, without belaboring this more, for generations, chocolate has been grown here for export, or cocoa has been grown for export, and we are amongst the first generation to be tasting the Trinitario bean on a regular. So that's the work of ARC TT. Yeah, I'm really glad that they donated this chocolate, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you, Adiola, for hosting. Thank you, Katian, for providing remarks. Thank you to Kirby Moses, the current Guild president. As I said, as was mentioned earlier, unfortunately, she's been dealing with some difficulties at home, and that's why she was unable to make it today. But we invited her, she jumped at the opportunity. And I would also like to thank the filmmakers who also shared their work with us today, those of you who were able to be a part of the film screening. Pomegranate Studios for Sanity by Irie Vibes. Can we get them a little round of applause? Thank you. COVID and Carnival by Bird's Eye View Productions. My Maxi by Andre. James by Black Cape Films, who honored us with their presence and shared a bit about the work that they were doing. I hope that was an impactful session. Yeah? And Mark Loquan and Maria Nunes, who contributed Women in Pan Leadership. Sometimes people just forget the people who supported the event. Thank you to our photographer. Thank you to our live streamers. Thank you to the UE crew in the back who keeping, you know, the mic working, the lights on, the projector running. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The cleaners who will also come in later and make sure the place spick and span after we leave. And certainly this order is not a reduction at all. Thank you to all of the volunteers here and wherever else they are, whether that be at home, at work, etc., who have for the past 8 months been learning, building things, reviewing things, writing things, designing, just you name it, everything that's needed to keep Mindwise running, to keep Mindwise on track with its mission to improve the state of mental health nationally, and becoming ambassadors for mental health within their own communities. Thank you. So now I'm going to welcome Adiola back to the stage, who is going to, I'm not going to do your job for you. I'm going to step out. Thank you, all.
Yes, I was just going to say, take your time, Ronaldo. Thank you so much, Ronaldo, for the closing remarks. Now we would like to distribute the certificates to our 8 teams. I'll be calling each of you all on stage. But before we do that, I'd like to ask Dr. Stone to distribute our certificates for us. So, Dr. Stone, as you all may know, or you all should know, has been instrumental in the program. So we'd like to have him distribute. So to begin, I would like to call Gloria on behalf of the fundraising and grant writing team. Thank you, Gloria. On behalf of the social media outreach team, I would like to call Deja. Thank you, Deja. On behalf of the stigma reduction team, I would like to call Princess. Sorry, Camille? On behalf of the Fine Care TT team, I'd like to call Beyonce. On behalf of the Suicide Prevention and Data Visualization team, I'd like to call Salisha. On behalf of the Events and Community Outreach, I'd like to call Dominique. On behalf of the Stenil, on behalf of the operations, gender-based violence. Thank you so much, Dr. Stone. And that brings us to the end of the program. How nice that we finish on time. Thank you so much for coming, guys. Yes. Um, do we have any FCV volunteers that made it? Thank you so much for coming. And now we have some photo ops. So first, can we ask Ms. Katian, Dr. Stone, and the First Citizens team, and then we'll have the volunteers. Well, no, I'll call them. You want to be in the photo?
There's a casual part, you don't have to be stiff. There'll be rounds of photos.
As